Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. Recently we've done several videos looking at America's newest air-launched missile, the AIM-174B. It's a multi-purpose missile that can be fired from Super Hornets and possibly other 4th gen aircraft. The missile has extremely long ranges and, as I said, is multi-purpose. We first used it here in Ukraine against a static ground target. We then used it here against a Chinese AWACS, sniping the AWACS from over 200 miles. Then we used it in an air-to-air configuration, using Super Hornets to launch at Chinese flankers at over 200 miles. And finally, the missile's absolute party piece, it can also be used as an anti-ship weapon against moving ships, and we used it here. This latest scenario against ships was pretty exciting. It showed that, at least in our simulation, it was an excellent anti-ship weapon that could be used at ranges of well over 200 miles. I think 270 miles is the max range we got out of it, but it also had limitations. When we used it against a fully fledged Chinese carrier group, it failed to penetrate. Reason being, it's not a stealth missile, so it doesn't have that on its side. It's not a low-flying missile, so it doesn't have that on its side. And it's not a truly hypersonic missile, so it doesn't have speed on its side either. So the only way we managed to overcome the defenses was using a hugely unrealistic quantity of them. I read through the comments on this video and lots of you said, well, that's because you're using it wrong. A missile like this used against a carrier group should really be used in conjunction with other types of anti-ship missile in a true time-on-target attack. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to rerun the same scenario. We're going to use a relatively small quantity of AIM-174B, just 16 of them, against the same Chinese carrier group. But this time, we're going to pair them up with two other types of missiles for a time on target where all of these missiles will arrive at the target at the same time from different vectors. And we're going to see if we can beat the defenses that way. And this is a great idea, viewers. I'm really looking forward to this. So let's show you the setup that we have here today. We have first the target. I can't really fire against an American carrier group. That would be a bit stupid. So we're shooting against a Chinese carrier group. We have two 055 destroyers. And we have four 052D destroyers. And we don't actually have the Chinese carrier, so we've got an American super carrier in the middle being a target. They're moving relatively slowly northeast. Same as before, the AIM-174Bs will be fired from 270 land miles by Super Hornets, 4 of them, carrying 4 each. That's a total of 16 SM-6, otherwise known as AIM-174B. These missiles will peak at around Mach 5 and have an impact velocity when they reach their target 4 minutes later of around Mach 2. Next, from this angle, we're going to have some low-flying Hornets that can get a little bit closer to the carrier group, 110 miles, and each of these 4 Hornets will have 4 AIM-158C LRASM, America's stealth anti-ship missile that flies low to the ground. So it has 2 party pieces, this missile. It flies low to the ground and it's very low observability. The missiles will separate to make themselves a little bit harder to shoot and then attack targets of opportunity once they get near the carrier group. And finally, the futuristic MAKO hypersonic anti-ship missile will be fired from 200 miles away by 2 Hornets. Each of those 2 Hornets will carry 4 MAKO missiles. The MAKO, we've modeled it to peak at high altitude of just over Mach 8 and an impact velocity of just under Mach 5. And we have an AWACS to coordinate the attack and guide the various missiles to the target. Now, before we run the attack in true time-on-target fashion, I would like to run them separately so we can see what happens if the missiles are fired but not coordinated. So let's run it without the coordination first. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. The MAKOs will be the first missiles to fire. Off they go. MAKOs away. Whoosh. Fired from 200 miles away. Going to peak at around 8 times the speed of sound. Now let's go and have a look at the LRASMs, which I believe will be fired next. Completely different doctrine. Long range, subsonic, stealth, sea-hugging missiles. And away they go. Now note that they're very close to each other, which means they could be taken out by one SAM. So what they'll actually do is they're programmed to spread out a bit before they get to their target. Right, I should watch... Oh, what's happening now? The first missiles are now actually out from the carrier. Those MAKOs are so fast. Firing HHQ-9 Bravos at a range of about 100 miles, I suspect. Now, I don't want to miss the... these missiles are now going out. The SM-6 or AIM-174B. Let's follow up those MAKOs. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure none of the missiles are going to get through. Right, so a large salvo of HHQ-9s are out at long range. Now these, as we remember last time, are probably going to miss. They're firing at the MAKOs when the MAKOs are going so fast still that they're outside the parameters of the interceptor, and you can see the interceptor's just flown over the top. But as the MAKOs get lower, of course, they get slower. And the next salvo, which is just coming out now, of 9Bs and probably some 10s as well, will probably get them. MAKOs have re-entered the atmosphere and they'll go all the way down to sub-Mark 5 now for the impact. MAKO's been taken out. And MAKO's dealt with. Right, next on target will be the SM-6s. Not as fast as the MAKO. Not a hypersonic missile, but they can just about peak over Mark 5. 52 SAMs fired of 2 variants so far. 24 air-to-ground missiles and 16 true anti-ship missiles. Check on the LRASMs. The LRASMs are subsonic, of course. They will take a longer time to get to target. The carrier group won't be able to fire at the LRASMs until they're within optical range at about 13 miles as they come over the horizon. Missiles being fired now, as you can see, for the AIM-174B. Always impressive to watch. Again, the first barrage of HHQ-9Bs may be fired out of parameters and may miss, I don't know, but it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. They've got so many missiles on board that carrier group. Yeah, some have missed and some are now hitting. Right, 174 is now being taken out. As fast as they are, viewers, they're not truly hypersonic, as I said, and they're well within the envelope to be taken out at this point. And there we go, that's as far as we got with the 174s last time, if you remember. The only way we could force them to win is if we had like 50 Hornets or something launching them at the same time, which just isn't possible to organise in real life. So what we're trying to do this time is to have a more realistic attack, one that really could be done. You know, 10 Hornets, that could easily be done. Right, anyway, the LRASMs now are coming within range. They're 27 miles. We can probably speed that up a bit. They'll only be able to be seen as they come within the detection range of the electro-optical system because they're truly stealth missiles. We've got them set up with a radar cross-section the same as the F-35 fighter. Range is 11 miles. That's it. Here they go. The Chinese defense system is similar to the American Aegis. Of course, it's truly fully 3D and fully integrated. Sorry, 360 degrees is what I meant to say, not 3D. Although technically it is 3D as well, I think. Those LRASMs, as cool as they are, against a fully alerted and ready carrier group, are going to struggle. LRASMs down, no major surprises there. The MAKOs are probably the best weapon here because of pure speed. As you saw, the carrier just doesn't have the time to react, and they almost got through. Just 8 of them, but still not enough. The 16 AIM-174s never really put up much of a threat. They were all shot down well within 20 miles of the carrier group. The ones that got closest were probably the LRASMs, but because of their speed was so slow, they were never really much of a threat. They were always covered by the carrier group. So now you're going to want to see exactly the same thing, viewers, but just the timings change so that they all arrive on target at the same time, or should I say they all arrive at the firing range of the carrier group at the same time. What we want is the carrier to have to fire at all of those missiles coming in from different vectors at the same time. As good as those ships are, they can only fire so many missiles per minute, and that is where we can find our weak point. So what I've done is change the timings of the aircraft. This takes ages to do. It's taken, what, 2.5 hours, nearly 2.5 hours just for these 10 aircraft. But what we're going to see now is the missiles arriving at a time where the carrier group has no choice but to fire at all of these missiles at exactly the same time. And you can see, hopefully, we're going to start having some leakage. There's a lot of variables here, so every time I run it, it will be slightly different, but fingers crossed. Right, first to be fired will be, actually, I can't remember, probably LRASM. Alright, LRASM fired at 40 seconds into the sim. Next missile to be fired will probably be... I actually can't remember. Let's see what happens, I guess. Okay, it's going to be the SM-6 or the 174. Fired at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Because it's so fast, the last one will be MAKO. And the MAKOs are salvoed at 6 minutes and 40 seconds into the sim. Oof. Look how far the LRASMs have come, but look how long they've taken. They've taken 7 minutes to do the 100 miles so far. The SM-6s are on their way, just passing into detection range very shortly, and the MAKOs are steaming their way in. Now, as for which missiles are going to get shot at first, we'll just have to wait and see. A total of 16 anti-ship missiles fired and 24 air-to-ground anti-ship missiles fired. First missiles out. That's towards the east, so that's going to be against the MAKO, which is absolutely not a stealth missile, and it's pretty easy to see. 8 missiles out. Now this will be the first salvo, which will invariably miss anyway, because they're shot out of parameters. There's not much more we can really do about that, viewers. Not really. 25 missiles out, all being shot at the MAKOs. Don't worry about them wasting missiles, viewers. They will not run out. They have hundreds of missiles, as we know, aboard that carrier group. 500, 600, something like that. Right, we now have the first missiles going out towards the SM-6 with the AIM-174B. Distances, LRASM, wow, 12 miles. SM-6, 45 miles. MAKO, 61 miles. Here they come, viewers. The LRASMs haven't even been shot at, and they're probably well within 10 miles now. See the damage. First salvos of missed MAKOs, as we know happens. First salvos are missing SM-6s, but that won't last for long. They're going to be in hit parameters pretty soon. The LRASMs are being hit. Map view is probably the best for us viewers, or a quick flick to here. Wow, look at the massive spider web. Look at that. Unbelievable. Back to map view. LRASM's been taken out with ease. SM-6 has been taken out with ease, but there's no headroom to fire at the MAKOs, and the MAKOs have just not been defended, and this is exactly what we want. All of the break headroom, as I call it, which is the thinking room of the men. It's the processing room of the Aegis type radar. It's the amount of targets that can be tracked per radar at a time, and it's the amount of missiles that can be fired per VLS set per minute, have all been pushed to the limit. As the last SM-6 is taken out, the LRASMs are taken out. I'm going to slow down time now because I can. Now, have we managed to penetrate? There's a good chance we actually not. Every time I run this, I will get a different result. Oh, wow, look at that. Well, that was unexpected. And back to normal time. Maybe. Pause. Oh, did we get one through? We did. Oh, wow. Fair play. You know what, viewers? I wasn't expecting that. And every time I run this simulation, I will get a slightly different result. But one thing this does give me is a massive respect for how good, at least in the sim, all, to be honest, carrier groups are modelled. I mean, to balance that threat. Imagine doing that as a human, balancing that threat. That's an impossible thing to defend as a human. And they literally just did it by the skin of their teeth. One of the missiles got within, a few hundred feet. That's extremely impressive. On the carrier battles we do, I see a lot of people moaning and moaning and moaning about how bad the carrier groups defend themselves. I say it exactly the opposite way round. I think they're just overmodeled, if anything. They're so hard to break down a carrier group in DCS. Right, all I'm going to do, viewers, is run the same thing again and see if we get the same result. MAKO inbound. Carrier group going suitably mental. Watch a bit from here if we like. 40 missiles out. Where's the best view, viewers? Oh, wow, look at that. Isometric. 60 missiles out. 70. These guys are going for the LRASMs. You see they're not climbing. 80 missiles out. 90 missiles out. Right, we're going to get a MAKO through this time. We'll see. Wow, look at that. You can see the ones that have gone for the SM6s. You can see the ones that have gone for the LRASMs. They're the LRASMs there, look. There's the SM6s. Can we sneak a MAKO in? Oh, I don't know. No, maybe not. Yeah, we got one in! We got one in! Wow, and that was a lot of work, viewers. That was all of these missiles that had to be fired as a massive distraction. We'll try one more, maybe just for the lols. So that is a proof of concept that we can get a single missile onto this carrier group without having to cheat, basically. By which I mean without having to put a whole air wing of jets. We've just got 10 jets coming from different angles, firing at the same time, or you know what I mean, time on target. We can beat a Chinese carrier group, which is otherwise pretty much impossible to do, as we know. A lot of you guys have asked that I do this on the big carrier battles that we do, and unfortunately I'm going to have to refuse that, viewers. Like as I said, just to do this here, well, it's been like 3 hours now, just for a very small kind of scripted setup. To do it in a fully dynamic setup would take at least a day. And if I wanted to do it, I can't just do it for America, and that's cheating. I'd have to do it for Russia, I'd have to do it for Britain, I'd have to do it for all of them. It would take days, and it's simply not economically viable, viewers, as I can't afford the time. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. It's very difficult to do, and I don't even know if they could do it this well in real life. It's not just firing at the same time. It's easy to fire at the same time. You just say, everyone fire your missile in this position at that time. Even we can do that in the Reapers. It's getting your missile on the target at the same time. In fact, it's not even that. It's getting your missile to be fired at by the target at the same time, which is why it's taken me hours to sit and work out all the times for this. I don't even know if you could do that in real life in a dynamic situation. It's a very difficult thing to do. Anyway, let's just run this thing through again for lols. Let's see if we can tie these, the processing power and the missile firing power of this carrier group up. Yes, we've hit the carrier again. 2 out of 3, viewers. 2 out of 3. Although it wouldn't sink a carrier, a missile like that would probably put it out of action for quite some time. Cause considerable casualties. That's it, viewers. I've proved what I wanted to prove, and I'm glad I did it, and thanks for the idea. So, just to reiterate, hordes of 174s could not get through the Chinese carrier group, but a relatively small number, 16 plus 16 LRASMs, plus just 8 MAKOs, altogether a total of 40 missiles, fired from 10 aircraft. absolutely could more fairly reliably get through the carrier group and more or less put the carrier group out of action. I guess I invite your comments. What do you think, viewers? And bye bye.